What up, what up, what up? It's me, L Teddy 27.
Good night, right about the hood.
Oh, dear God, I'm already eating a drink. Look like a damn mess. Just a damn mess. No means no, and yes means no. What up, what up, what up, what up? What's good, people? What is up? What's up? What's up? It's me, L Teddy. Oh, I can't even say my name. It's me, L Teddy 27, and I am back for yet another review. This is going to be our review for Pose. It is season 3. It is episodes 7 and 8, the series finale. Oh yes, people. Although we've come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's so natural. Ooh, you belong to me. Ooh, I belong to you. Anyway, that was my shout out to Boys to Men. But it's over, y'all. It is over. So let's get down to it and get it out. So we start off with Blanca at the hospital, and she's she's working with a patient, white male, who has AIDS or whatnot, and is doing pretty bad, has thrush, and has all of the other symptoms that go along with having the disease, and isn't doing pretty good. And so she talks to him, works with him, and tells him, listen, we're gonna get you right, we're gonna get you on some meds, we're gonna try and get you better and good. While she's there, Nurse Jenny tells her, I just found out Pray Tell checked himself into the hospital. So Pray Tell is at the hospital. He got pneumonia, baby. It's over. The doctor said, it's nothing we can do. We can't treat your pneumonia, girl. It's okay. Make your final arrangements, honey. Make your peace with the people you need to make peace with. It's over. So, and so her and Pray Tell have this moment, and he said, listen, I want you to help me work on my piece of the AIDS quote. And he was like, I want it to be so extra fabulous and extra gay. Because this is Pray Tell, and everything is extra. Not extra, because that would just be regular. Extra, because that has to be extravagant. And oh so fabulous. Oh so fabulous. The embellishment of it all. Anyway, he wouldn't have it any other way. What are we talking about? This is Pray Tell we're talking about. Girl. Anyway. So then we come back, and Blanca's patient is doing well and, looks better. Has gained weight, has lost all of his symptoms, and is back to living his best life. Come to find out, they signed him up for this trial or study where they were working on the cocktail. And if you don't know what the cocktail is, back in the 90s when the first real treatments started that really helped out people with AIDS and help them live longer with AIDS and HIV was the cocktail, where you would take about 5 or 6 medications in a day, but it calls it the cocktail, and it helped you live, and it helped you all of your numbers and all of the everything that the disease did to you in your body. It helped with that. And so of course Nurse Jenny and Christopher started talking about, why can't Pray Tell be on this? And so they go up to, I guess, probably the head physician or the physician who's in charge at the hospital for, the study or whatnot. And they pretty much have this whole sit down, knock down, drag out argument where they pretty much say, listen, either you help us or we're going to go and tell the hospital how y'all trying to keep people of color out of this study or whatnot that's helping everybody, because y'all only helping white gay men. And that's really how it was. That's really how it was. They weren't trying to do nothing for gay people of color. So anyway, she acquiesces and gets Blanca and Pray Tell on the cocktail in the trial. And they both start doing well. We see Pray Tell out of the hospital, walking down the street, looking good like he always did. His eye back to normal, everything looking good. He sees Ricky, and him and Ricky sit down and get caught up on the stoop or whatever, and they catch up. And Pray Tell tells Ricky one of his outlets that he's had since having newfound life, which was the Gay Men's Chorus. Shouts out to the New York Gay Men's Chorus. My good friend, who y'all know, who's sometimes my co-host, your boy Ty. He was a part of the Gay Men's Chorus for years. He was a part of them when they were on Good Morning America and all types of shows and television. He was a part of the Men's Chorus. He isn't right now, but he just recently stopped performing with them. But he had been a part of them for years, and he sang baritone. He got that deep voice, so he sang bass baritone. And Loved it. He loved it. Saw it as a phenomenal outlet, and loved every minute of it. Anyway, Praytel takes Ricky to one of the rehearsals, and Ricky joins the choir, the gay men's choir. So then we see Blanca at Praytel's house, and he's still working on his part of the AIDS club. And then, so they start to talk about this newfound life that they have now that both of them are healthier and feeling good, and the drugs are working, and this, that, and the third, and so forth and so on. And um, they decide that, listen, we have newfound life. Ain't no need for us to work on this doggone quilt no more, because I'm not going to die. And, they just keep going on and on and on about their newfound lease on life and so forth. So real cute, touchy-feely shit. Pray tell, then, we see him, he's just finished hosting a gathering for the Gay Men's Chorus, and everybody leaves. And as Ricky's getting ready to leave, he says, hey, listen, I need you to stay and help me clean this mess up. So Ricky stays around, and they talk. And so during that talk, Ricky opens his shirt and shows Pray Tell that he had found a lesion on his chest, and he starts breaking down, crying, and says, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And Pray Tell was like, no, don't worry about it. I got you. And he hugs him and shows him, he comforts him and shows him support and says, don't worry about it. I got you. And Pray Tell meets with Nurse Jenny at the hospital, and him and Blanca come to tell them that the pharmaceutical company said that Pray Tell meets with Blanca in the hospital, and Nurse Jenny. Pray Tell meets with Nurse Jenny, I should say. Blanca and Christopher come and let Nurse Jenny and Pray Tell know that the pharmaceuticals company said they're not going to add any more people of color to the study. And Pray Tell is incensed. He is livid. He is upset, as is everyone else, because that means more people are going to die. And the next thing you know, we see this big protest. And if you weren't alive during the 90s, these things actually happened. You had protests not just going on in New York, but protests were going on all over the country, because a lot of things that people take for granted today, well, excuse you, a lot of the things that you all take advantage of today was not available back then. And people who have HIV and or AIDS today, they get the benefit of a lot of programs and things that were not available back then. And there was a lot of dying that had to happen, and a lot of protests, a lot of going to jail, and a lot of getting beat and stuff like that had to happen in order to get people to where they could get help and not have this be a death sentence for them. So, they start protesting, and it gets violent. Police start beating on people and arresting people and all that kind of stuff. Pray Tell, we did see Pray Tell and Blanca at the ball, and they're going to have this performance in memory of Candy, Candy Sweet Refrain category or whatever. So they're going to do this performance or whatever. So they talk and they discuss the fact that now, because of their protest, they've lowered some of the drug prices for those AIDS drugs, and they then start to talk about Blanca and Christopher and how happy they are and all that shit. So then we see Pray Tell and Blanca. They perform Ain't No Mountain High Enough, the Diana Ross version that she did in Central Park, where it was raining and she was all wet and shit, and it was all cute. They had the rain coming down. It's posed. It's extravagant. It's way over the top. Anyway, after the ball, Christopher and Blanca talked to Pray Tell, and I noticed Christopher said that he was moving, and Blanca alluded to this when she was talking to Pray Tell backstage, but something about Christopher moving in with her. Christopher is a whole ass doctor, and I don't know whole ass doctors that stay in raggedy ass apartments like what Blanca got. Granted, it is a rather large apartment for New York City, but still, it ain't on the side of town where you staying at if you're a doctor making a doctor's salary. I'm sorry. I could see Blanca moving in with him, but him moving in with Blanca, try again. They be trying it. At this point, it's over now, so I ain't even got to go in on the writers and everybody because it's over now. So I'm just going to look past all that because we just going to enjoy the fact that this is ending. That apartment on a doctor's salary, make it make sense. Anyway, I noticed Pray Tell, I wrote down in my notes, Pray Tell is going out of his way to do these goodbyes and to almost make peace with everybody and make sure everybody was good. We see him go home. He looks in the mirror. He wipes the makeup off, and he has this moment of just peace with everything. And I wrote down Pray Tell dies / commits suicide because something in me at that time said that he was ending it on his terms. It wasn't like he was going to let it take him out. I felt like he was like, nope, I'm going to end this on my terms. So we'll get there. Um, Ricky comes over the next morning and finds Pray Tell in the bed, dead, and has a whole ass breakdown. And at this point, for the next 30 minutes at least, I'm having a whole meltdown, snot bubbles, buckets of tears, tears and tears and tears and tears. I'm just crying like a newborn baby. Listen, I'm over here weeping, sobbing at this point, uncontrollably, for at least the next 30 to 40 minutes of the show. Um, Ricky goes to the hospital. Blanca finds out. Ricky tells her, yeah, he's gone. And she has a whole breakdown, screaming in the lobby of the hospital. And I had a whole breakdown. Just weeping and sobbing and crying. At the dinner that night, Christopher talked about the coroner saying that it was basically like a heart attack or something like that. But I just don't feel like it was a heart attack based on how Pray Tell acted that last scene. We then find out that Ricky had been getting the cocktail from Pray Tell. And he was like, Pray Tell had told him he was going to get extra drugs. And Christopher and Nurse Jenny was like, there's no way on earth that he would have been able to get extra drugs. And it dawns on Ricky and everybody else that Pray Tell had been giving up, taking his drugs to give them to Ricky. And when Ricky figures this out, he loses it. And baby, I lost it too. I was done. You could just get some Christmas at that point. I was done. Took me all the way out. Child. Now, I have to give it to Dylan Burnside. Dylan Burnside played his part of this episode. If he did good in none of the other episode, he played the shit out of his part in this episode, baby. I was able to hear snot bubbles, just weeping and sobbing. We then see that was like the end of episode 7. So at the beginning of episode 8, Pray Tell's mom comes to see Blanca. And so she has Pray Tell's ashes. I kind of felt robbed because I felt like we needed Pray Tell's funeral. I needed a Pray Tell funeral. This is potent. If you're going out, go out with a bang. Go out in a blaze of glory. Give me, because that Ain't No Mountain High Enough was okay, but it wasn't the over the top that I needed for the series finale. I needed something real extravagant, over the top. I needed a dead Pray Tell to descend out of the sea, out of the sky, with angel wings that span the whole, circumference of the sanctuary where they was having a funeral. Okay, I needed songs like, listen, girl, y'all was supposed to take me higher with Pray Tell's funeral. So I felt robbed that they didn't give us a funeral for Pray Tell because he deserved a funeral. They didn't give us one. His mama came with the ashes and let Blanca know of his last wishes about the lockets and everything. They had a whole moment. They crying. I'm crying. The collective of American culture that's watching it across the fruited plains, we're crying as well. We all just crying. Just crying away. Child. So then there's this meeting with the AIDS activists, the ACT UP people with the AIDS activists, and they were talking about wanting to spread the ashes, have a protest where they spread the ashes of all of the people who had passed from AIDS on the front lawn of the mayor, who at the time is Rudy Giuliani. And they said, who's willing to do that? And after some prodding, Blanca reluctantly finally acquiesces and says she agrees to do it like the rest of them. So then we see Blanca invites everybody over to Pray Tell's house, and she carries out his final wishes. She gives everybody their lockets and reads the message that he left for everybody. Baby, I half of it I ain't here because I was over here still, openly and loudly sobbing and weeping. Okay, I ain't stopped crying yet. Okay, I mean, and especially the message that he left for Ricky, baby, that just took me all the way. I was done. I was too done. Then they had the protest, and I think I cried during the protest harder than I cried in any other part of the episode because it brought me full circle. Like having had a whole lot of friends and even some relatives who have passed away from AIDS, and people who I love dearly and who, I lived life with, and who were so. It took me out. I came full circle, and I remembered all of those people. And as they were pouring the ashes, and then they went through, you saw, just the fight that they had to have, just to protest it. It took me out. It was a real, real moment for me where I kind of lost it a little bit. I had to pause because I couldn't help but go down the list of names, and there's quite. If you're of a certain age, you have probably, and you are, if you're a gay man or of a certain age, you have lost probably a lot of dear friends to this disease. And watching that protest and that scene just really just did something to me. And it brought all of the names, the memories, the faces, the experiences, and everything with them back full circle. And it was a lot. That was the moment of the episode that really just, I really lost it. So after that, they go to the men's chorus, and I forgot to mention when Pray Tell took Ricky to go see the men's chorus when Ricky first joined. They were doing this. They were doing this song, and in the song, some of the men were in black, some of the men were in white. The men in black were facing their backs to the crowd, to the audience, I should say, and the men in white were facing the audience face on. And the men in white represented the only founding members of the Gay Men's Chorus that were still alive. All of the other ones had passed from AIDS. And there was, at the time when Ricky first joined, there was only like maybe 4 or 5 out of maybe 50 people that were still alive. So there was only 4 of them that were in white facing forward. And when they did this, they went from the protest to the concert with the Gay Men's Choir, and all of them had on black. All of them had their backs facing the audience, and they sang "The Man I Love," and they did a close up of Ricky just crying snot bubbles as they finished the song. I'm still over here in the fetal position in bed. I'm literally in the fetal position in bed, rocking back and forth, just a boohoo crying away, just a boohoo crying away. It ain't make no damn sense. It ain't make no damn sense. I had to pause for a long time. So then we fast forward. It's several years later. It's 1998. This 2 years later because it was 1996 when Pray Tell died. So it's 1998 now, 2 years later. Blanca graduated, and now she's a full-fledged nurse. Her and Christopher are about to celebrate their 4-year anniversary. And Christopher said, and Blanca works at a different hospital now. She doesn't still work at the same hospital where Christopher and Nurse Jenny works. So she goes up. He says, go upstairs and see Nurse Jenny because she hadn't seen her in probably years at that point. So Nurse Jenny now works in pediatrics, or she works, in the part where the babies are born. And so now she talks about having a newfound, she's been reinvigorated in her job and profession now, working with the babies as opposed to working with people who are dying. She talks about loving watching these babies come into the world and life being a part of her job and not just death. So they get caught up. Blanca is, so now they're just speeding you along, just getting to the end. Now we're just fat because at this point, the climax of the entire series was the death of Pray Tell. That's the climax. So, and in literature, after the climax, everything happens very quickly. After the climax, falling action, denouement, and resolution happens really quickly. And so that's where we are now. We're in falling action, resolution, and denouement, and it's happening really quickly. And they're just pushing everything out as fast as they can. And that's what we got going on. Blanca sees a patient who's a trans woman, and she has to tell her that she's positive, and she doesn't have any family, and the same old story. And she tells her, "Listen, I got a hookup for you. There's programs. Now we're at the part now, years later, where there's actual AIDS assistance programs where now you can get help to pay for your meds and stay alive and this, that, and the third. And it's much easier now And she said, I'm going to get you into these programs and everything's going to be good and fine. And she also invites her to the ball that night. So then we see the girls go out for lunch. So it's supposed to be like a Sex and the City-esque type thing because Sex and the City at the time was a big deal. And so you see Electra, Lulu, Blanca, and Angel. They go out to lunch, and they get caught up real fast. Like I told you, there's we're speeding ahead toward the end, and we find out Electra no longer has the phone sex line. Now she does webcam services. Now, last time I checked, in 1998, I don't remember too many webcam services in 1998. I'm just being honest. Google wasn't even around then, okay? Um, you had, I think Napster might have started then. Most of us were either using AOL or you were using Netscape Navigator back then in 1998. But I don't remember no webcam services in 1998. In 1998, I didn't know anybody who owned a webcam, but that's a whole different story. Anyway, I definitely don't remember any sites in 1998 offering webcam services for porn. I remember there was porn, and I remember back in the day that in those years, porn sites were free. I remember free porn sites back then before they really figured out the whole how to charge you and stuff like that. I remember that, but anyway, it's ending, so I ain't gonna pick it apart. So then we find out Lulu, and so Electra talks about she's making so much more money with the webcam stuff instead of the phone sex stuff. Child. Lulu though got a promotion at her job at the bank where she's doing people's taxes and stuff like that, and she's doing really well. Angel is still a housewife. The little boy Beto is going to third grade, and she's enjoying being a housewife, and Poppy done got her some new ad campaigns that she can be a part of and stuff like that. So that's going well. Blanca updates us on Damon. Damon's living in Chicago with his sugar daddy who owns a couple dance studios. He's living his best life up there. Blanca also has some new children, and they walk in balls and stuff like that. She invites everybody to a ball that night, and they were like, honey, we beyond that. We done got past that. You know how Blanca is. She don't get this touching speech about how they need to be back in the ballroom and stuff like that. They ain't trying to hear it, honey. They were like, girl, we got too much to do. They all declined. Anyway, I also loved how they talked about Sex in the City and how horrible of a show it was. But whatever. Some of y'all gonna disagree with me about that, but it was kind of horrible. To me, it was no different from Friends and Seinfeld that just ignored black people or whatever. Anyway, Ricky, we go to the ball. Ricky is now the father of the house of Evangelista. I loved how Ricky was dressed in the garb that you see those, because at this point Ricky's kind of older. Ricky is probably in his 30s, which in the gay life, 30s is ancient, child. Anyway, he has the dress of someone who's older and who's not in tune with the fashions and stuff like that. So I loved how they had Ricky dressed in this scene. But he's helping all of his new kids because he has children now, and so they get ready to walk the ball. So, but before that, they showed Lamar voguing on the floor, and he was voguing to the remix of "How Did You Get Here." The remix, girl, that's sickly honey. Lived for it, loved it. Anyway, and then when the House Evangelista started walking the ball, they were playing "We Go Deep" by Janet. Honey, I was living for the music, honey. That was my jam, Queen Janet, honey. I don't fuck off. Anyway, they won their little categories or whatever. So then Electra makes a guest appearance down to the ball. She's there to bestow legendary status to her child, Blanca. And they do that, and all of the girls show up. Angel, Bobby, Lulu, everybody from House Evangelista is there for Blanca. It's the end now. It's Take Your Feeling moment. Even at the end, when everybody, before when they walked off the stage, or walked from the middle of the floor, the little trans girl that she met down at her job that she told to come, she even came and was like, y'all go fix up in the back. She's the newest member of our house, and you know how that goes. Same old, same old. She go now be walking with them in the house, I guess. After the ball, there's this couple, this house mother and a couple of her kids outside, and she asks Blanca about how do I win trophies. We went in there and we did all we could, and we didn't come out with a single trophy. Exact same thing that Blanca did back in season 1, might have been episode 1 too, with Pray Tell. And you see Pray Tell and Blanca like mirror each other where they do, flashback, present, where Blanca is basically telling them the exact same thing Pray Tell told her back those, 10, 15 years ago. And it's the same thing, reliving itself. Same thing we had at the beginning of the show, we have now at the end. And she tells them, listen, I'm going to be here. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep striving, keep moving forward. You'll triumph and you're going to push forward. And I'll be here to watch it all. She walks off. Series ends. Final thoughts about the series. I thought it was a phenomenal series. I mean, I talked so bad about some of the last few episodes because the show had a high bar. The show meant so much to us in the Rainbow Coalition, us letter people. And because I have so high estimation and such high expectations of this show and what it could do and what it meant for us, I was critical. Probably more critical than people thought I should be or than I am of other shows. But it means a lot. And it will go down in the pantheon of those shows that we needed in the vein of a Noah's Ark, which we needed during that time, and we have a Pose now, which we need right now, and shows that will come after it. And so I'm glad that I was here to witness this and even be able to do these reviews now, because I remember when Noah's Ark was out, I wasn't doing reviews back then, and it's like, shoot. I'm just glad that I'm able to be here and give you my thoughts, views, opinions, and it'll be here for you all to watch years later when we come back and talk about, y'all remember that show Pose? I'll be like, y'all go back and look at my reviews. I've reviewed that. So it's been my esteemed pleasure to watch this show, review this show, give my honest commentary on it. I hope you all loved it as much as I did. It's sad to see it go, but it was kind of time. But I'll always remember the good moments of this show. I remember that first episode with the break-in when they broke into the museum. I will remember the candy episode. I will remember the episode when Ricky found out that he had HIV. It's so many episodes that will go down in my memory of this show that made it what it was. Sad to see it go. I know all good things have to come to an end, and the hell, but it is what it is, and I'm glad we were here to witness it. If you know a friend or an ally of the community that's never seen the show, introduce them to the show. You owe it to them to introduce them to the show. You may have a young relative or someone that's younger, a friend of the family, a relative, somebody you know's son or daughter that is a part of the Rainbow Coalition or is one of the letter people that needs this kind of exposure. Expose them to it. Let them watch something like this so that they can see more of who we are and more of how we got here. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Until next time, until my next review, I'm going to say what I always say. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. We out.